So our first example here, it's got some drivers that were asked, what's the fastest speed you've ever driven? And then there's a table right there. It says, what's the mean of these speeds? All right, so mean of speeds, we've done means of a lot of stuff before. Stat, edit, clear these lists out. Always start with some nice blank clear lists unless you're keeping them for some reason. All right, 70, 60, 70, 95. 70, 60, 70, 70, 60, 70, 95. 50, 60, 80, 75. 50, 60, 80, 75. 55, 90, 110. Whoops. 55, 90, 110. And then 365s. And then 55, 70, 75. And then 70, 65, and 40. Okay, 20 things, which is how many there were. All right, so stat, whoops, not that. Stat, calculate, one variable stats, and I can't have a frequency list now. All right, that frequency list is from the last problem I did, so no frequency list. Calculate, and all I care about is the mean, which is 69.25. All right, so the mean is 69.25. All right, so then we take a couple of random samples and we're going to find the mean of those two samples. All right, so it says, do you expect the means of these groups to be equal? They should be similar to 69.25, but might vary based on the sample collected. All right, so we don't know if it doesn't have, it's not forced to be the same mean because it's from the same group. But it's going to be, it should be relatively similar. All right. So calculate the means of the two groups. Now, those are supposed to be X bars. I'm not sure why they didn't show up. So let's go back in here. Let's go stat, edit, clear that list. All right. And then we're 60, 60, 70, 80. 60, 60, 70, 80. And then we're 75, 50, 65, 75, 50, 65. 75, 65, 110. 75, 65, 110. Stat, calculate, one variable stats, no frequency list. Gives me a mean of 71. So I'm going to say X bar A, because that's what that first symbol should be, is 71. Then X bar B is stat, edit, clear. 70, 55, 55, 40. 70, 55, 55, 40. 65, 65, 95. 65, 65, 95. 70, 90, 70. 70, 90, 70. Stat, calculate, one variable stats, no frequency list, 65, 67.5. 67.5. 67.5. Okay. How do these two means compare to each other? All right. So A is about 4 larger than B. They both vary from the whole group mean by about 2. Okay. So they're both a little bit off. But again, I'm only picking some of the people. That's why. So that says calculate the difference between the two means, and that should say X bar, XA bar minus XB bar. It should say that, okay, which is what you do with these. So it's going to be 71 minus 67.5, which is 3.5. All right, that's called the difference value. What does this value represent? And this is this is the question it asks, which is just a really weird question. The mean of group A is 3.5 larger than the mean of group B. And it's a weird question because it doesn't ask about the mean of the whole group, which is kind of odd. But this is typically what happens, and you always do A minus B, all right, which is, again, something kind of weird. So you'll get negatives sometimes, and that's where they like to ask you, what does this mean? All right, it doesn't mean any means or negatives. It means that group A is smaller than group B. All right, so you just have to be on the lookout for that. These aren't really bad to do at first. Then they get a little tiny bit harder, but just take your time. Stats is always kind of weird, and you're always interpreting things.